Thank you for this. Let me just begin with some background. I mean, you've been with SIA previously and then as CEO of Scoot and then now back to SIA. What's it like being back?
Goodness. Well, it's good fun. I mean, Scoot was very fun in its own right, creating something from scratch. Coming back to Singapore Airlines is obviously quite different because it's a very much more established, very much larger, very much more complex business, both in size and scale as well as its full-service business model. But it's exciting because it's in this period of transformation where Singapore Airlines is refleeting new product as well as undertaking an organizational and digital transformation. And to be part of that transformation of such a storied brand and such a respected organization is fun and exciting and humbling.
I think most people don't realize that Singapore Airlines is undergoing a digital transformation. All we see, would be the glamorous premium, and the long-haul flight. What's happening actually with the transformation?
Well, in some respects, that's a good thing that you don't notice too much radical change because the Singapore Airlines business model has been built on human contact and customer service and subtlety and intuition. And it's now that we're supporting this through deployment of technology so that we can do so better and we can do so at the scale that the company now has. So whether it is training, whether it is customer systems that give us insight into people's history, people's preferences, likes, dislikes, past interactions, so our frontline, whether it's crew, ground staff or contact center people, are equipped to handle not just people in general, but that person in particular, with full knowledge of what they like, what their history is, and what might be the best solution for that person's particular interest at that point in time. So that's on the customer side. Obviously, on the business side, predictive maintenance, so we can ensure aircraft are operating efficiently and reliably. From a sales and marketing perspective, to be able to segment the customer base, to be able to provide people a customized offer of product and service and price that means something to them, that confers value of the Singapore Airlines product. So there's digital initiatives across the business. All up, we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars in IT-related capex. We're employing hundreds of additional IT-related staff. This is a fundamental transformation.
Right. When did it actually start? And do you see this accelerating?
So the digital transformation, in some respects, commenced in earnest probably about 7 years ago when we put together one of the first airline customer relationship management databases in the world. But it's really accelerated in the last couple of years as we've incorporated that information into the touch points used by cabin crew, by ground staff, by contact centers, and also started to use this data to be able to define personas and propensity values so that we can market particular products and services. In fact, market's probably the wrong word, to present products and services to people that are in the right combination at the right time via the right channel to tweak their interest. I think the last 2 years has seen most of the transformational work. Included in that has been some organization restructure. We've set up a customer experience division with a view of taking the customer lens, mapping the customer journey, finding where the pain points are, finding out where the opportunities for improvement are, and then directing the company's resources in a more focused manner, solve those problems or lift the level of performance.
So it's not as if there's going to be just a focus on digital transformation and that might affect the fiber of what SIA is. And when somebody thinks of SIA, they think of service, really. So how do you actually transform without affecting that DNA?
Well, I think we're very focused that, yes, the foundations and the sinews of the organization can and should change to just keep up with contemporary demands and technologies and customer preferences. But the interface layer with the consumer should still reflect the core values and the historic strengths of Singapore Airlines, because we're the most awarded airline in history for a good reason. So it's how do we maintain that interface that people like and are useful? How do we evolve it, and how do we support that evolution with technology?
Do you have a transformation at Scoot as well? I mean, being a sister airline.
No, because it's a much younger organization. Scoot first started flying in 2012 and was already, as a consequence, then using internet generation technologies. API distribution was the main form of distribution. I mean, it's totally different generation from the systems that legacy airlines like Singapore Airlines rely on. So there's not the same need for technological transformation. But of course, there's many things that they can and are doing. So they've got chatbots, they've got some very sophisticated direct marketing, targeted marketing capabilities, and being part of the Singapore Airlines group, we can ride on each other. We can learn from some of the experimentation that they are more able to do. They can ride on some of the infrastructural improvements and development that we do. We share a common customer data set. So if someone on a particular day is seeking a low-cost solution, even if they're historically a full-service customer, or if the company's paying their full service and if they're paying their low cost, we have that record and we can get a holistic picture of someone's travel needs rather than it being segmented by brand.
Would you say that it's easier to transform a low-cost carrier digitally than a legacy like SIA?
Oh, absolutely, but for all the reasons I said, because it's a much simpler business. It's born out of internet generation technologies, so there's fewer systems that need to interact with each other. The systems that exist are current generation, so it's absolutely chalk and cheese. I used the example before that if you want to do an initiative in a low-cost airline, it takes a month and it costs you $10,000. If you want to do the same thing in a legacy airline, it's usually a year and $1 million. It's just order of magnitude different.
So what can we expect, say, in 2 years? What sort of transformation will have occurred further in the next 24 months with SIA?
Well, I think many things, and I won't go into specifics. Suffice it to say that over the past 12 months, we've seen a number of initiatives roll out. The Chris Pay digital blockchain-based wallet. We've seen the Digital Innovation Center be started up. We've seen the chatbot roll out. But behind the scenes, there's a lot of infrastructural work that, as that progressively completes, it allows us to accelerate the iteration and improvement of the whole facet of the business much more quickly than we could do before.
Yeah, and in the end, it will be the customer still that is the focus and will benefit from all this.
As it always has been for 72 years, Singapore Airlines is all about the customer, and nothing we do in transformation is done without the customer in mind.
I'm so glad to hear that because I fly SQ quite a bit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for this.